The screech of metal against metal pierced the afternoon air, followed by a scream that would haunt Marcus Chen for the rest of his life. But what came next, the impossible split-second decision that changed everything, would prove that sometimes our deepest tragedies prepare us for our greatest purpose. Marcus had been standing on the crowded platform of Grand Central Terminal, his 6-year-old daughter Emma's hand clasped firmly in his own, when he saw her. A woman in an elegant gray suit had stumbled near the yellow safety line, her briefcase tumbling onto the tracks just as the express train's headlight appeared in the tunnel. Without thinking, she lunged forward to retrieve it, her heel catching on the platform edge. Time seemed to freeze as she teetered, arms windmilling, her body pitching forward toward the electrified rails. Everyone on that platform would later say the same thing: it happened too fast. One moment the woman was falling, the next moment a blur of motion intercepted her. Marcus had released Emma's hand, crossed 15 feet in what seemed like 2 strides, and executed a move that looked like it belonged in an action movie. His arms locked around the woman's waist, his body twisted with precise momentum, and they both crashed backward onto the concrete platform just as the train thundered past, its wind whipping their hair and clothes. The crowd erupted in gasps and applause, but Marcus barely heard them. His heart was hammering, his hands shaking as he helped the woman to her feet. She was trembling, her perfectly styled blonde hair disheveled, mascara smudged beneath wide blue eyes that stared at him with a mixture of shock and disbelief. "Are you hurt?" Marcus asked, his voice rough with adrenaline. His mind was already shifting back to Emma, who stood exactly where he'd left her, eyes wide but trusting. His daughter knew better than to move when Daddy told her to stay put. No, I don't think so," the woman stammered, brushing off her suit with shaking hands. "You just saved my life. How did you, that move, the way you..." She trailed off, studying him with sudden intensity. "You have training." Marcus shifted uncomfortably, already picking up Emma and preparing to leave. He didn't like attention, especially not questions about his past. "I'm just glad you're okay, ma'am. Please be more careful." "Wait." The woman fumbled in her ruined briefcase, which a transit worker had retrieved. She pulled out a business card with trembling fingers. "I'm Victoria Hartwell. Please, I need to thank you properly. This is my private number. Call me." Marcus glanced at the card, CEO, Hartwell Industries, and tucked it into his pocket more out of politeness than intention. "Really, it's fine. Anyone would have done the same." But as he carried Emma toward the exit, Victoria called after him, "No, they wouldn't have. And I think you know that." She was right. Marcus did know. Because in that critical moment when Victoria had begun to fall, his body had moved with the muscle memory of 1,000 training sessions that seemed like a lifetime ago. Before the accident. Before he became a widower and single father. Before his world had narrowed to daycare pickups, bedtime stories, and the endless struggle to keep his head above water while raising Emma alone. 3 years ago, Marcus had been a rising star in military special operations, training in close-quarters combat, tactical rescue, and split-second decision-making. He'd been good at it too, maybe the best in his unit. But then Sarah, his wife, had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He'd resigned immediately, devoting every moment to her care and to Emma, who was only 3 at the time. When Sarah passed, she'd made him promise to give Emma a normal life. To leave the danger behind, to just be a dad. He'd kept that promise. For 2 years, Marcus had worked double shifts as a warehouse supervisor, stretching every dollar, living in a cramped apartment in Queens, and pouring all his energy into making sure Emma had the childhood Sarah would have wanted for her. He'd buried his training, his skills, and the part of himself that had once thrived on purpose and challenge. Some nights, lying awake after Emma fell asleep, he felt like a ghost haunting his own life. That night, after tucking Emma in, Marcus pulled out Victoria's card. He turned it over in his fingers, remembering the split-second calculations that had filled his mind on that platform. Angles, momentum, weight distribution, all processed faster than conscious thought. He'd felt alive in that moment in a way he hadn't since Sarah died. He almost threw the card away. Then his phone buzzed with a notification. Electric bill past due, final notice. The next morning, Marcus called the number. Victoria answered on the first ring, her voice crisp and professional but warming when she recognized his voice. "Mr. Chen, I was hoping you'd call. Can we meet? I'd like to discuss something important." They met at a small cafe in Midtown. Victoria looked different in casual clothes, jeans and a sweater, more human somehow. Her hands wrapped around a coffee cup that she hadn't touched. "I couldn't sleep last night," she began without preamble. "I kept seeing that moment, kept thinking about what would have happened if you hadn't been there. About my daughter, who's 12, and how she would have gotten the news." Her voice caught. "I've been reckless, Mr. Chen. Not just yesterday, but for months. My company is under attack, corporate espionage, threats, sabotage. I've ignored security recommendations because I hate feeling caged. Yesterday was a wake-up call." Marcus listened, unsure where this was going. "I need someone I can trust," Victoria continued. "Someone with your skills and instincts. I want to offer you a position as my personal security consultant. The pay would be substantial, the hours flexible around your daughter's schedule. I checked into you, Marcus. I know about your background, your wife, what you gave up. I'm not asking you to be a soldier again. I'm asking you to use your gifts to build a better life for Emma." Marcus felt something twist in his chest. "I made a promise to my wife. To be there for Emma, to stay safe. And you have been. You've been an incredible father. But Marcus, what kind of life are you modeling for Emma? One where you dim your light, where you let fear cage your potential." Victoria leaned forward. "I'm offering you a chance to be both, the father she needs and the man you were meant to be. Plus, full benefits, including a college fund for Emma that starts immediately." The proposal was staggering. Triple his current salary, flexible hours, meaningful work that would use his skills to protect rather than destroy. But more than that, Victoria was offering him something he'd thought was gone forever: purpose. Over the following months, Marcus transformed Victoria's security protocols. He identified the sources of the threats against her company, trained her existing security team, and became her trusted advisor. Victoria, in turn, became more than an employer. She was a friend, a mentor, and eventually, as Emma and Victoria's daughter Sophie became inseparable, she became family. 1 year after that day on the platform, Victoria made Marcus a partner in a new division of her company focused on executive protection and corporate security. She also invested in his education, sending him to business school part-time. But the real change wasn't in bank accounts or titles. It was in Emma's eyes when Marcus picked her up from the private school Victoria had insisted on paying for, seeing her father standing tall instead of exhausted. It was in the way he could finally keep the promises he made to Sarah, not by hiding from the world, but by engaging with it fully. On the second anniversary of the rescue, Victoria organized a small gathering. As Marcus watched Emma and Sophie laughing together, Victoria touched his arm. "I never properly thanked you," she said quietly. "You've thanked me every day for 2 years," Marcus replied with a smile. "No, I mean for showing me what real courage looks like. You could have walked away that day. You had every reason to, a daughter to protect, a promise to keep, a life that demanded you stay invisible. But when someone needed help, you didn't hesitate. You taught me that the best way to honor the people we've lost is to live fully, to use our gifts, to risk vulnerability for connection." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "Sarah would have liked you. I would have liked her too. Because she raised a man who knows that strength isn't about walls, it's about reaching out even when it's terrifying." As Emma ran over, throwing her arms around his waist, Marcus realized that sometimes saving someone else's life is how you save your own. His secret skill hadn't just rescued Victoria from those railway tracks. It had pulled him back from the edge of a different kind of precipice, one where good people lose themselves in grief and obligation, forgetting that the best way to love those who depend on us is to become the fullest version of who we're meant to be. The train had passed that day, but their lives had just begun.